Hello. Let's see if you can hear me. Looks like you should be able to. Cool. And I have my chat up. So it looks like people are interested in dark mode, so I'm going to do that right now. And then let's see. Stream notice. I'm streaming right now. And I have to make this dark mode too. There we go. All right, so the goal is going to be in the next hour or so, try to make try to allow for 5,000 players to join with the proxy. Let's see what's new with this. No update notes, but let's update. Hello, how are you? Not call me hacker. Okay, so let's get right into it. What I'm going to actually use is I'm going to use the Lunar client. Let's launch 1.20.1. And then we have our server. So the server is, that is not the server. Well, it's a proxy server. So up here we're gonna go to Minecraft hyperion. Let's run the game server. I'm doing pretty well. Just trying to see if I can get the number of players that I want. Okay, so it looks like Lunar Client is building the cache. And I'm gonna delete all of these servers just so I can have a blank slate. Love Overcast Network, great server. This is gonna be the proxy, is going to be on localhost 25566 because we have the proxy in the game server. So let's run the proxy. Then we should be able to join. Yep. Pretty straightforward. Now, what's your infrastructure for the server? So right now I'm just running this on localhost, but ideally this will be run on two really beefy servers, multi-core servers, where the proxy is running on one and then the game server is running on the other, and there's a direct link between the two. The proxy can also run on more than one server, but the game server is going to run on one server. So we'll probably have at least 8 core, maybe 16 core for servers. This is different than a regular Minecraft server, which generally pretty much utilizes one core, more or less. And in that case, you don't really care about having a bunch of cores. You care about having a really powerful, you care about your cores being really powerful and performant, but not having as many of them. And for us, that doesn't matter as much. Okay. So now to test our bots. So let's make 5 join. So 5 joined there. That looks nice. I just want to look at for CPU wise, let's look at, I don't know what the proxy server here, that's the name of it, proxy server. Okay, 6% CPU, that's pretty good. So let's disconnect these. Okay, so it looks like we'll need to fix closing, fail to send data to player closed. Okay, so let's fix that really quickly because that's going to happen to some extent. Kim also planning to do something similar, but with multiple proxies and game servers. In Rust, sorry, I don't know what your, here, let me see. Do I have you on Discord? Not call me. Maybe that's you, I don't know. I'm bad with the names. Maybe you have a different name in another server as well. I don't know. But yeah, I'd say if you're trying to do something in Rust, I would love to work with you. Actually, no, I think I've seen you in the Discord before. I just don't know where. I know there's some here. From user. Gosh, I don't know how to use this. Me. From. Anyway, yeah. Cool. All right. Okay, so we need to go to the proxy, and then we need to handle disconnects correctly. So let's see where this error is coming from. We're getting fail to send data to player closed, right? And my guess is on the server, is it actually saying that the player is leaving? I don't see anything about player left world, and I don't know if I'm logging that. Let me double check that I'm logging that. So connect, gosh, I forgot what these events are actually called. Add player, remove player. So we should get removed to player, but we don't see that anywhere. So that means that it's not being sent. And we're getting failed to send data to player because these are closed, right? So the game server is still sending packets, right? Because the player's never getting removed. So I'm not sure about the language at the moment, as it should really not matter that much. Also, there's like a heart that is in the way on mobile. This is actually super annoying. It's hard to read messages. Yeah, I mean, it matters what you're doing, what your goal is. Because sometimes the language matters a bit, depending on what you're doing. But a lot of the time, it doesn't matter as much as people think it does. Let's see what we're gonna do here. You know what? Also, I kind of hate doing dark mode at this time of day. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, you're probably gonna really hate me here, but you know what? I think I'm just gonna do light mode because I really love light mode. Okay. I think we have everything in player reader, reading the packets, and we should be sending player disconnect when either of these fails, but we're unwrapping this. We're looking at both Node Minecraft Protocol, because I'm familiar with JS, but also, yeah, so, like, again, I don't know how many, I don't know how many players you're trying to get, so JavaScript could be good for if you're trying to get, like, 50 players or something, but if you're trying to get 10,000, it wouldn't really work too well. I would definitely use something like C, C++, Rust, or Go if you're trying to get 10,000, or Zig, maybe. Yeah, Flashbang. Okay, so that's probably the issue there. Is we were unwrapping. Right. Let's look at the join handle information here. What if there's an unwrap? $10,000 plus, but the individual server's performance shouldn't matter that much because the rest of the infrastructure should catch it. Yeah, I just think, I mean, I don't really know what you're doing. Again, JavaScript could be fine, but I would say in more cases than not, I would not do it in JavaScript. But I literally have no idea what you're doing if you want a large language model to generate code for your 10,000 player server. JavaScript might not be that bad, so I don't know what your goals are really. Um, okay. So I just want to look at this, like what the error type here is. Join error. And then I hate this reader mode. This reader mode always seems to get activated. I'm not a big fan. My plan is similar to what Dual Universe is doing at the moment, and they tested with 30k bots with only minor problems. I do not know what Dual Universe is. I'm sorry, but maybe you can explain that. Or actually, let's look really quickly. Dual Universe. Okay, so it's not a Minecraft thing. It's a... What even is this? The space MMO, entirely built and driven by players in a single persistent universe shared by everyone. Oh, so it's like a... I see. Do people even say the word multiverse anymore? Or like, do people just say massively multiplayer online game? Right? Like, what does the multiverse mean? Because doesn't multiverse just mean it's like a super large uh world where every player's online at the same time? Like, it gets so confusing because Zuckerberg said it, and then everybody tied it to the success of, I feel, Facebook's multiverse thing, which sucked. I mean, it looks cool. It's an MMO, massively multiplayer online game. Um, but everyone is one huge shard. Cool. I mean, this looks cool, but like, did they do it in JavaScript though, is the thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to use JavaScript. JavaScript just seems weird unless you're making like a browser game or something. Okay. So we don't care what the result of this is, but we want this to not be panic. Um, okay, so I think this will fix the disconnects. Let's see. If I go like this. I mean, we'll probably still get a couple close, but like it won't occur forever. Reconnect. That's really nice. Thank you, Lunar Client. So if I go like this, and then boot. Yep. And then it's still panicking. Let's remove the panic too. Like, I don't think this really matters. This is line 81. So, I mean, this makes sense, right? Because we can't flush this. Um, let's see if we can do something like this. And then have like an okay at the end. Anyhow, okay. And then I don't think we'll even get the printout message. So giant world spanning multiple planets with thousands of players and no loading screens when traveling around. Okay. Yeah, I just wish more people collaborated in this community because it seems like everybody has their own project. And to be fair, I'm part of this problem. I made my own server. Um, but it's like, imagine how cool it would be for the community and for everybody working on something to actually get into Hacker News, get a Guinness World Record on their names, on their resume, um, have all the clout with doing that. Um, instead of just people making these things and spending a few months and then it going nowhere. So maybe I could do a better job with leadership there. Um, because yeah, I would love to see this happen, and it's very much might happen. I think this is going to happen unless I get drawn away by not having time for this, just in order to make money, to exist, right? So, let's have 5 bots join. Okay, that's exactly what we want. And then if we have 5 of them join again, okay, they're back. And we can look at the CPU, and this is pretty good. Let's try to make 100 join. Okay. And now it's taking up significantly more CPU, but it looks pretty good. Still. That is a lot of CPU though. 177%. Right? I wonder what this is taking. 6.8, right? That's the actual bot is taking up a very absolutely would be great to have a community project like this. Although the question is if a single physical server can even handle 10,000 players. I mean, the numbers that we're getting, it makes it seem like this is so. I mean, I've had over 5,000 players on this before at, you know, I don't know how many milliseconds per tick, but it's like 20 or 30, I want to say. Because yeah, it's definitely possible. Um, I don't know why it wouldn't be, but like we do have a proxies, so it is horizontal scaling for the proxies. Um, you know what? You know why it's taking so much is I think I'm not running this in release mode, and when you have async stuff and it's not running in release mode, um, hello, how are you? When you have async stuff and it's not running, yes, I can read this. When you have async stuff and it's not running in release mode, you have to understand that async, like under the hood, is making these giant state machines, and there's like a lot of recursive calls, or not recursive, but like nested calls, and stack traces are going to be so super big. And when you compile in release mode, it should ideally alleviate this. So what I'm going to do, and then if I still have this issue with just the performance not being where I want it to be, then what we can do, 5K bots are always different than real players. I mean, they're different, right? But is one going to take up more computation or less computation than the other, right? It's kind of hard to know. Um, right? Because you could make a bot that is traveling super, super fast, faster than a normal player, and loading chunks more than a normal player. But you're right, you can't just optimize solely off of bots. If you solely optimize off of bots, you probably wouldn't get a really like there would probably be something that isn't really optimized ideally because they don't act like a normal player does exactly one to one, but they're good like guiding force. And I think if you can get 10,000 bots, right, um in a mini game like this, like it should work for 10,000 players as well, unless they're doing, yes, I can read this. Can you hear me? I can read everything that you say. um But yeah, I think they're good as a guiding force. And hopefully this will finish compiling in a couple seconds. Let's see. It seems like I don't know what it's doing. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. So, okay. Yeah, and I have made a lot of changes, so this is quite different than the version that is even like a few commits before. Is Russia supported? What do you mean is Russia supported? Like you can run this on your own. This is open source. The actual servers, game server is open source. So you should be able to, use it unless there's some issue with GitHub not allowing you to download the source. Yeah, I mean you can look at the GitHub for milliseconds per tick. Like right now it's probably not ideal. I mean I've had 1,000 players on that is, and I think it's been running with like 1,000 players at like 2-3 milliseconds per tick. I made a video on this. Okay, let's see what the proxy. Okay, 22%. Are we happy with that number with 100 players? Probably not, right? That's actually a bit. Um, VLang. I have no idea what VLang is. You can see the repository in the description. It's in Rust. Okay, so let's try with 1,000 players now. And if I end up having to recode the whole proxy to not use async, I don't think, frankly, that I will be able to, why it's actually taking that percent? I think it's because I have a BVH, which is being recalculated. all the time. That's probably it. Yeah, I'm almost sure that's it, but let's see. Um, Actually, here, U limit SN 124 U limit, and then we're going to do the same thing here. This is just so we can have 1024 file descriptors, so we can have ideally 1000 bots. Let's see if my computer explodes. Okay. I mean, this is really laggy for me. Look at all of the bots here. Um, Now the question is, what is this using up? Ooh, that is not good. The actual, not I do want to profile this, but the actual server, so the actual Hyperion server, what am I even calling it? Infection, right? It's only 28, so it's really good. But the proxy, it looks like, is not doing too well. Right, so let's try to figure out why it's doing so bad. Let's profile. So run this in release, but we are going to go into instruments. Time profiler for proxy, target, release, proxy server. Okay, let's start. Failed. Oh, wait, we got all of these. Maybe this is why. Failed to send data to player full. Oh, the actual channel is full. Well, I think if it were... I think that's just because I kept on getting more and more behind in time. Regardless, we're running this. Let's have like let's have 500 players join. Oh, it's because I stripped literally everything from this. I forgot. So this is absolutely super unuseful right now. So we're gonna have to disable stripping. Strip. Oh no, that's up here. Strip. Or I think it's the debug information. So LTO. Let's do this. And stop this. Let's stop this. It's swole. And then we can run this, and hopefully we'll get better debugging information this time. Okay, looks like all threads are about equal, which you'd kind of expect. Okay, so this is the first like big split I see. So let's zoom into here. Okay, so it looks like almost all of this is just sending bytes. Okay, so I almost wonder if flushing the buffer is taking the most time here. I wonder if setting some type of yeah, I think the issue is like priority here because we don't necessarily need to be reading from the channel right away when we're sending packets to the player. Um, but we are, and then we're flushing before we fill up the buffer with enough data, right? Um, so then we have a lot of context switching because we're calling the send to syscall. And we want to do that less frequently, so we want to read from the channel less frequently. So I almost wonder if, I could add like a sleep um timer or something. I bet if we slept for like 1 millisecond, it would be way better. Potentially, actually, I don't know. Mm, let's just look over all of this and we can stop this. Oh, did not mean to do that. The thing is, I can't tell. Flush buff might also be called internally when it reaches the max buffer size, right? So here, let's run this again. I want to run this again, but then have 1,000 players. Should still be able to join here. Oh boy, this is taking a lot of CPU. Let's try to add output. There we go. And we don't need 2 of these 6, and we added 2. I bet this is going to say things are full if we have this, because I think it's getting behind in time. Failed to send data to player full, yeah. And let's see how big. Failed. Failed to send data to player. Yeah, I'm trying to see how big the buffer is by default. Proxy to player, so it's this thing. $1,024. And if you think about it, there will be more than just 1024, right? Because every single game tick, there will be more than 1024. So ideally, maybe we can do something like 1024 times 8. Let's see if we still get full if this is the scenario. Actually, we need to rebuild this. That's a lot of things that are being sent in a channel for every single player. I almost wonder if the way that I'm making the proxy right now is the ideal way. Let's see. Right? Because if this can't even support, if the proxy can't even support 1,000 players, then we're probably going to want to redesign the proxy somehow. Let's see if we get to state where it says it's full, or if it's going to be happy. Okay. It might be happy. Happy running at 688%. So we should be able to join since it looks like it's not being full, but also I don't really have any faith. Yeah, I'm at the state right now where I almost think doing something like Mio makes sense. She might want more fine-grained control of things. Okay. Yeah, I truly think let's just go like this. Did we stop this? No, we didn't. I mean, can we even join now? Let's stop it. Oh, yeah, we need to. I really, yeah, think that async, although it sounds nice, is causing a lot of problems in this specific situation. Just with the raw amount of data that's being transferred, I don't know if async is always the best solution versus just using Mio. I definitely don't want to use IO Uring if I don't have to. Um, so let me think about how I want to structure this then. Um, I mean, first of all, I just think sending 1024 plus data elements per tick is crazy for each channel, and then you're sending that however many times. So I mean, first thing you could do to optimize is combine broadcasts together, right? Like maybe, I'm just trying to think. Like the proxy server could potentially only send broadcasts every. No, you'd want to, yeah, you'd want to be sending it as soon as you can, really. Maybe we could send a packet which is like flush. Maybe we could add a packet which is a flush packet. So every single game tick, you'll send all of the data to the proxy, all of the broadcasts, etc., and then you'll finally have a flush. And then when you get the flush, the proxy will actually send everything over a socket. And what this allows you to do is you can turn all of those broadcasts into a single byte slice. So you don't have as many messages to pass over channel. I think that would speed things up significantly if I had to guess. And then again, like maybe we want to use something like Mio as well. Then what would we do for broadcast local? Because there's a lot of local things that happen. I mean, in fact, this would be local eventually. I'm just trying to think. I mean, I'm thinking maybe we do the same thing for local packets too, where you just combine local packets. Maybe we want to take the radius out of the game. Or no, I think so each local broadcast packet you have currently the radius and you have the chunk XZ coordinate. So if I go to the proto right now, so we could say before the flush, we just combine broadcast locals that have like the same optional center and radius. And actually, does even having optional packets make sense, right? Because I don't know if having optional packets even makes sense, because I think individual players' connections should be fast enough, like should be fast enough to get all player data, reasonably speaking. Hmm. I'm just saying because we'd have to hash all of these things most likely if we wanted to combine things, and then unicast would be sent over the channel. And then in that case, will Mio be slower or faster than Tokyo? I don't know. Um, but something to try out for sure. Let's try to do that combining method first before we rewrite everything. So you're gonna have to look in Hyperion proxy. We're gonna add flush as well. Can we just have an empty message? Is this gonna work? Yeah, I think we need to go like this. Flush. Flush all. Yeah, that's actually a great message. That's a great documentation. No messages will be sent over TCP to the players until flush is called. I really flush is flushing is important so we can combine all messages into a single so we can combine messages single continuous area in memory before sending them over TCP. This will reduce system calls. Okay, solid. I am really happy that we're doing this on the proxy though, instead of the actual game server, because the game server will require rewriting a lot of stuff, depending on how we're doing IO and having like a global buffer versus a single versus sending things over channels versus MIO versus IO Uring. It requires a giant refactor because just everything's using it and there's a big surface area where this, you don't have that, because the actual proxy is all networking code, right? For the most part. At least, did I not commit this? Okay, there we go. So now if we cargo updates, all right, the proto updated. And now what we're going to want to do is only send things when we flush. And I think this makes sense. But we will see. I'm trying to think where I think it's here I read everything. Maybe it's proxy. Run proxy. Stream, server socket, server read, reader. Okay, so server reader is what we have to look at. Okay. What is this buffer even being used for? So I think, yeah, we want to cache. Let's make this a separate thing. Struct cache. So what this is going to do is this is going to take in a bunch of packets. And then when we flush, it's going to properly flush everything, right? Let's see what next returns. Next. Server to proxy message. Update chunk positions. Okay, all of this. Chunk packet. Okay, so we're only going to care about one of these before we flush. So the latest one. And when we're grabbing the next one, are you sending this over a channel? Or just handling it directly? Okay. Broadcast global. So global is going to be additive. So data optional. To do care about optional. Let's say broadcast required. What else is in here? Packet dot. There's the exclude too. The exclude is going to be interesting. The exclude is going to be really interesting. How we're going to handle that. Because what exclude is going to really do is it's going to make this like a multicast where we have all players except one. So we can still have everything in one contiguous buffer. We would just need to store the data that each player should not send, I think. Yeah, because like optional, I don't know if we need that, but exclude, we definitely need that because we don't want to be sending players their own location, right? That would not make sense. And some clients will even get confused and might crash, or you get really weird things. Like it looks like there's a player that's following you when it's literally just you. Um, so I think what we should have is we need a way to say like exclude broadcasts, and then we have some type of slot map, right? From, let me see, from the entity ID U64. So this is just going to be player ID. This is going to be like a multi-map too. I'm just trying to think about this. Yeah, I think just having like a uh, secondary. I need some type of multi-map. I guess I could just be using some type of like, yeah, array vec. Um, is that what it's called? Come on. Why is this? It's not. Maybe it has a dash. That's probably why. Rest. Oh yeah, I think it's a newer version has this syntax. The standard version is like this. Or no, the standard version is like this. The older version was like how it completed. Okay, cool. So let's not care about optional right now. We want this to be rather simple. So exclude broadcast. Broadcast required. Self dot let current length. Okay, that's what we want to do. So this is a current length. Then we're going to extend from slice. Okay, that makes sense. And then new length is this. And extend from slice maybe does not exist, but slice combine. Oh, it's because it's not a bytes mute. I'm actually kind of an idiot. Unsplit dot extend. There we go. Right. Then new length, and then we're going to have for exclude and for exclude in packet dot exclude. This for, by the way, is like kind of jank. I'm not gonna lie. Let me add a comment for this. To do remove jank for maybe, you know what we could do? Oh, I just thought of this. We could have some type of like, um, we could have some type of like bump. We could use a bump allocator and then just reset everything on the flush. I think that would be ideal. Because the issue is we don't want to be allocating a bunch. Right? So maybe we could have some type of like linked list type thing going on the bump allocator. Does that sound like a good idea to anybody? So we would have like a structs node and like next non option non null node. I think this is what we would have, something like this. And then we would have data, we would have range v-subs. Maybe this is better. And then this would just store potentially like the first pointer. And actually we don't even need non-null. This would just be non-null node. Right, this would work. Then would we want previous as well? Probably. Hmm. This, okay, I think I'm over engineering now. Let's just use this right now. I think this is a good solution, having a bump allocator and having this linked list on a bump allocator, but I don't think it is worth doing right now. Especially just to show if we can get Tokyo to perform significantly better. I'm thinking at least 10 times better if I don't want to recode this in MIO with flushing, which honestly I expected to do because we're sending a million things per game tick right now over a channel, and that would be reduced by a factor of almost like 1,000. So because we're combining things. Okay. Broadcast required, exclude broadcast. Okay. And then this is gonna yell, this is yelling at us because the flush, right? Let's key equals key data from FFI. Let key equals player ID. Okay. And then this, what does entry return? Well, it's just returning an option. Gets the given keys corresponding entry in the map for in-place manipulation. May return none if the key was removed. So how does it even know if it was removed? I'm actually confused. Secondary thought. Oh, wait, actually this makes sense because Yeah, it actually makes sense because slot maps have index and generation, and I think it's saying if like the generation is off, if it's too small, then if it's smaller than the version that's in there now, then it's just not going to you're not gonna be able to use it. So to do does unwrap. Actually, I don't think unwrap makes sense here. What do you want to do? To do not. If unwrap fails, we are all good, so we should not use unwrap. There if none is returned, I think it just means that it would just be outdated, and we don't want to crash everything. Okay, how did we have this originally? Or insert with. There, I'm almost sure that's what we want. This is gonna be range size. There we go. So I'm gonna have to get off in probably about 8 minutes. Local. Let's just have to do for all of these. Unicast is going to be pretty simple. We don't handle these any differently, really. Actually, we actually do. I didn't really consider. I almost wonder if we should be using a slot map, or not a slot map, what is it called? What's a concurrent hash map that starts with a D in Rust? Dash map, yeah. Set receive broadcast. Okay. You know what? I think I'm gonna do this later. I have to prepare for something, but yeah, thank you for tuning in, everybody.